Hi everyone, today I thought we're going to do something a little bit different. Come with me on a tour of Prahran. I found out this morning that Prahran holds a public institute and I boarded a train and I thought to myself, right, I'm going to head into Prahran and find out more about this library that just holds historical documents. It's situated down Greville Street, Prahran. Now, Prahran is an inner city of Melbourne and I hadn't been there in years. On a Saturday night, this place is bumping with young people because there's trendy cafes, restaurants and bars. And during the day, though, it's obviously a little bit more sedate, but really pretty to have a bit of a wander and a walk and really admire the old boutiques and the facades of the various shops and buildings. Melbourne has a very rich and varied history, so no doubt down this street you could see all sorts of different architecture. Some parts of the buildings are quite new, other parts are re-customised like this one. And so I walked down this street and I thought to myself, where is the Public Institute? But as you can see, my attention was diverted and I had to really take some photos and videos of this beautiful street. I found the Public Institute. It was here on the left. It was signposted. And here it was, the Public Institute that I mentioned that holds historical documents. If you don't know the history of the Public Institutes, I highly recommend you look into it because the Public Institutes in Melbourne back in the early 1800s were responsible for training a whole heap of people up with the Industrial Revolution. The library had a collective city exhibition and it was a series of photographs of Melbourne through the ages. Now, I don't know about you, but I love learning about my city's history, And so the photos were a mix of some old black and white ones and also some new ones, and they made alignments about the then and now. While I was there, I also asked the librarians if I can wander around the library and get to see what kind of books they had. All the books are historical books. For an example, this shelf here only had books and periodicals and journals on the Victorian railways. As I walked through, there were also along the windowsill some pamphlets about local history and local buildings, as well as some frames on the wall that you can have a look at and read about the Public Institute, what it was there for, why it was built, when it started, who graduated, who created it, a whole heap of fascinating history that basically were the precursors to our Melbourne libraries. Before the Melbourne libraries, we had the Public Institutes. Before the Public Institutes, we didn't have any way of educating the people in the early 1800s. I sat down in one of these chairs here and I started doing my own research. I've got this idea of a book that I would love to write, and I needed to kind of come up with a plot and a story. My book relates to, I guess, let's say, how Melbourne played a part in 1942 to decrypt and decode the signals that were coming in from the Pacific by the Japanese fleet. So that's my idea for a storyline of a novel. Whether I would ever get to write it, well, that's a different matter. I like to think in my head that one day I'll actually sit down, pen to paper, or basically in front of a keyboard and tap out this story that I'd like to see in a book. Afterwards, I thought I'd go out and have a bit of an explore of Prahran, and hey, guess what? I found out another library. Walking through this beautiful little park called Grattan Park was the Prahran Library, which is situated in a square that is quite lovely. It was a very warm day here in Melbourne, and there were some people sitting under umbrellas and in cafes outside the library and or just enjoying the fountain area. And that is it. Hopefully you enjoyed this little tour of Prahran and also learning about the Public Institutes. I'm going to rest now because it is a very, very warm day here in Melbourne, and I'm going to sit and think about my character, my plot, my storyline, and try and wangle some kind of story, and then hopefully find the motivation one day to actually write the bloody book. Dreams. We all have dreams of becoming writers.